So in this segment, we're going to be talking about the head of manufacturing in Northern Ireland talks about receiving death threats over the protocol. That's how kind of toxic the situation is. A person who is in favour of the Northern Ireland protocol, which if we look at Northern Ireland's kind of economic recovery here, you can see it's far higher than the rest of Great Britain, or far higher than the average UK output. You can see that's a massive gap. And this is a person who's receiving death threats now. That's the kind of snowflakes we're dealing with over the protocol. Imagine sending someone death threats because they're in favour of the thing that's actually helping Northern Ireland. It's madness. Stephen Kelly, the chief executive of Manufacturing Northern Ireland, has said he has received death threats because of a video on the Northern Ireland Protocol. Speaking to RTE Radio, Kelly said the businesses in Northern Ireland had stepped in where politicians had chosen to exit the stage over Brexit issues. I'm not 100% sure what he means by that, because the protocol is there to help businesses in a sense, the quote best of both worlds. The problem is that is not a comfortable place for business. Businesses and politics don't necessarily mix particularly well. I guess he's saying like businesses have had to talk about their support for the protocol because the government keeps talking about getting rid of it. So essentially businesses are in a vulnerable position because they have to talk about a thing which is helping them, but is politically toxic for the unionist parties in Northern Ireland, but also in Westminster right now. That's something we'll talk about soon. There's been a pattern from that period of name-calling, sinister telephone calls, people's collars being ruffled up and grabbed. So you're talking about potentially physical assaults and also physical threats. And he goes, and just this week in another attempt at that. And you tell he's talked about his support of the protocol, and this is what's happened. People are attacking him. That's the country we live in. I don't know if he's contacted the police or if the police are doing anything about this, but this is genuinely an awful situation. Asked about what kind of threats he received, he said, in the past, certainly we've had calls from MPs, so we've had calls from elected officials and others saying, you need to watch yourself, you need to be careful what you're doing, what you're saying. MPs have told him this. Members of Parliament have actively, at least implicitly, threatened him. That's the situation we're in right now. They're trying to silence a business leader because he goes against what the narrative is for the DUP. I'm not accusing the DUP of this. It could be them. It could be any party. It's just ridiculous. They're going against the narrative of the unionist parties. It's just the pattern of people trying to kind of bully you into becoming quiet or being silent or being complicit in some of the decisions and choices that they are making. Kelly said the physical location of Northern Ireland sharing a border with the EU, obviously the Republic of Ireland, meant that having a working deal for trade in place was essential. He added that it also represented a unique opportunity for businesses, but that he was worried the EU and UK government were no longer listening to each other. I don't think that's strictly true that they're not listening to each other. I think that it's the UK that aren't listening to the EU or to the majority of MLAs in Stormont or to businesses in Northern Ireland either. He says the only way that will resolve this is discussion and agreement that actually works for businesses and consumers in the North, which he is right about, the discussion part anyways. He says if we can get that, the huge economic benefit that we're already beginning to realise, particularly in terms of our manufacturing goods exporters, can actually build up that prosperity. We need to cement that peace and the peace. And at the end of the day, Northern Ireland has a massive trade advantage over the rest of GB purely because it can export to GB with no checks and also export to the EU with no checks. I mean, look at the numbers. It's crazy, their economic recovery. And if you look at it, they actually dipped way harder than we did. They dipped way harder than us. A couple of percentage points harder than us because of the pandemic. It's just crazy. Northern Ireland's output, according to this graph at least, shows you it's fairly similar to the rest of the UK, which is quite surprising. I thought the UK's general economic output would be higher, but it goes to show you that their revival's been very good, and the protocol's played a large part in that, in my opinion. But it raised the question with all the uncertainty around the protocol. What would happen if there wasn't all this uncertainty around the protocol? How good would Northern Ireland be doing at that point? It's just, hypothetical, but interesting nonetheless. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.